On Larry King Now, Marilyn Manson. Is the man behind the makeup a villain or just vilified?
Your quality as an artist is measured equally by people that dislike you and people that love you.
The goth icon sets the record straight.
I saw this taking place on TV. And I go, I know I'm going to get blamed for this. Now, I think that I've been blamed for about 36 school shootings.
Plus, what name would you give me if I were taking another name?
Salvador Dolly Parton.
I love that.
Boom.
Next on Larry King Now. Welcome to Larry King Now. Today's guest is Marilyn Manson, a man who needs no introduction, a platinum-selling musician, Grammy-nominated artist, cult rock icon. He is now performing with another friend, Alice Cooper, in his Masters of Madness Shock Therapy Tour. When he's not making music, he acts, makes absinthe, and dabbles in watercolor painting. And thanks for coming. Your name is Brian Warner.
Brian Hugh Warner, in fact.
Does anyone ever call you Brian?
My dad does. Yeah.
He never got hooked on this, did he?
No. He's hooked on it. In fact, he likes to come out on tour. I think he likes to soak up some of the. He came from me, so
he helps
with the young girls.
Oh, tell me how this thing came. Tell me the shtick. How did you become Marilyn Manson?
Well, we might have this in common. I was moved to Florida with my father, and my first job that I could get, I conned my way into becoming a music journalist in Florida. So I interviewed a lot of people.
Where, in Miami?
Yeah, in Miami. It was a magazine called 25th Parallel. And by the time I was 19, I was a senior editor. And I was also most of the other writers. So the very first interview with Marilyn Manson was conducted by Brian Warner. So
you interviewed yourself?
Yeah, and I didn't have any songs yet. So I sort of set that deadline.
How did you come up with the Marilyn Manson thing?
Well, it was the obvious watching, you know, at the time, all the Phil Donahues and Jerry Springer, before Jerry Springer. But, you know, the fact that I was born in 1969, and that was the year that the Beatles, you know, and Charles Manson, and Marilyn Monroe. I just remember as a kid, Marilyn Monroe, fake name, Charles Manson, fake name. You put the two together, it's like abracadabra, and it really describes American culture altogether. Marilyn Manson, you've got light and dark. And
but you take the name of a notorious villain.
Well, she wasn't a villain.
No, he. Good line, Marilyn. Now, how did the makeup come about? Why the lipstick? Why glass where I can see myself talking to you?
Well, the lipstick's good, though, because then if you come home with lipstick on your collar, if you were a white-collar job man, then you don't have to, you know.
Good thinking.
See, it's always got to keep the...
But, I mean, why did you go this route?
Being a fan of Bowie, Prince, Alice Cooper, of course, and even Madonna. I don't know. I think it's probably, you know, I wrote a book before I was famous, really, an autobiography, and that sort of turned me into being more popular by making the book. It was sort of what Bowie did with Ziggy Stardust, came to America and said that he was something bigger than he was. I've always just been a big fan of the art of war, or the war of art, whichever way you want to look at it. And just, if you're going to do something in life, I've always been a big fan of film and big fan of music, and I just wanted to be a part of it. And I had a lot of things to say about pop culture.
Do you do the makeup every day? Or do you ever go around just without the makeup, just like get on a plane, no one knows who you are?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's more simple. I mean, other than the fact that I probably do less makeup than any girl that I know. I mean, just a little lipstick, you take it off, and suddenly I've become a redneck from Ohio, so it's easy.
You like to turn people off?
Like a light type is it?
I mean,
no. You mean like may offend people, you mean?
Yeah, do you get a kick out of offending people? Is this shtick?
I think, well, it's always been, for me, you know, chaos and confusion are the best form of communication for me. I think that's the way that you can really make art. You know, art should be a question mark. It should not be an answer. So if you ever explain your art rather than letting your art be the explanation of you.
I understand.
Yeah, and you know, and then being a journalist, you know, it's still journalistic in some ways because I look at the world and I try and think of how to process it. And then when you become part of the pop culture that you started out criticizing, and I started out as a journalist writing about people that criticized art. It's sort of, when I think back at it, it's sort of
You've done a circle.
Weird progression to it. But I think, your quality as an artist is measured equally by people that dislike you and people that love you. That you need to have both,
So
or you're mediocre.
You don't mind being disliked?
I care more about the people that I surround myself with, what their opinions are, and then when you think about it, you end up showing all of your inner secrets, or whatever you want to show, your feelings in songs and things like that, to strangers. Essentially, I get on stage and I sing things that I wrote personally about someone or to someone, and I sing it to strangers. So when people say, "Oh, is there a difference between Brian Warner and Marilyn Manson?" Those are just words. What is similar with they probably have a different amount of letters in them, you know. But other than that, it's a way of describing things.
How's the tour with Alice Cooper going?
We're just starting that. I'm looking forward to it, obviously, because he was a big influence on me as a kid. And my mom, I remember, my mom now is, you know, I guess it's been coming for quite some time, but she's mentally ill, like to the point where can't communicate with her, which, you know,
it's sad.
It's sad, but I had to, of course, deal with it in my own way, and so I don't look for sympathy when people say I'm sorry about that. Of course, I wish it could be different, but I can't change it. So,
how did you?
But I just remember when I was a kid, my mom used to tell me, my mom used to love Elvis and Alice Cooper. And that's why I dyed my hair black first time.
I know Alice pretty good. Alice used to hang around Beverly Hills.
He's a
sports fan, golfer.
Yeah, we met recently. The first time we met was in Transylvania. No lie.
You're kidding?
No, we were playing at some festival, and it was in Transylvania. You couldn't even make that up.
Do you play an instrument?
I play guitar, but you know, I mostly sing.
Do you sing together in the act?
We plan on doing a song together, but I'm not going to say which one.
More with my guest, Marilyn Manson, after this. Don't click away. Our guest is Marilyn Manson. He and Alice Cooper are touring in Masters of Madness, a shock therapy tour. You intend to shock people.
I think the best and only way you can shock people is with light sockets. I actually bought a ring. It's called the suicide ring, and it's just a light socket thing.
Suicide ring?
Yeah, and you just plug it in the light socket, boom, you're shocked.
Oh, I see. You kill yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sarcastic art piece, but I thought it would be good for an engagement ring.
You think you're misunderstood?
No, I'm just understood differently by everyone. I think that's the best way. It's almost like Mickey Mouse. You know,
How did you
can't really evolve. You can't really evolve. It's the way that.
How'd you get famous? What made you? Did something happen? Was it a hit record? What happened?
I think it was a moment in pop culture, in MTV, in rock and roll. It followed grunge. And Alice even said this. He said, someone asked him, "What did you think when you first saw Marilyn Manson?" And you know, because a lot of people have always said, "Oh, it's just like Alice Cooper, you know, girl's name," and so forth. And he said, "Thank God somebody finally did something exciting after grunge." And for me, you know, I went to college briefly at Broward Community College. I went for about 3 months, and I took theater and journalism. And I learned how to spell blonde with an E if it's a girl, and I learned to speak in front of people. But for the most part, I'm shy, even though what I do on stage completely would not give you that impression.
Do you date?
Do I date? I have a partner, a girl.
I
don't like to use the word girlfriend.
But you're heterosexual.
Oh, I'm very heterosexual. What kind of question was that?
It was a same question.
No, I didn't know. I didn't know.
Marilyn.
No, I didn't know if you asked me out on a date.
No.
I'm just kidding.
You said you voted for the first time in 2008, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Who'd you vote for?
Well, I voted for Obama.
Did you vote for him again in 2012?
I didn't like the whole process of voting because they didn't even ask my name. I didn't even present a driver's license. I just thought it was so random. But
Well, you had to be on the voting list.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know how it worked. It was very.
Where did you vote? In what city did you vote?
In Burbank at a hotel.
You just walked in and voted?
Yeah.
So you're now against voting?
No, I'm just, you know, you're a king, so you should be into like the monarchy system.
I could issue decrees. Well, John Kennedy once said, the public really would love a kind king.
That's true.
Which is leave me alone and do things.
Yeah, I was very obsessed with Kennedy right after the whole Columbine thing that I got blamed for. And I made a record. Well, I just remember sitting watching TV, and in Chicago, and I saw this taking place on TV. And I go, I know I'm gonna get blamed for this. You know, it's not like when
Why
you
were
make
you blamed for Columbine?
They didn't have. It was the best face to attach to at the time, because I put myself in the role of villain, because I think villains are the key to any good story. But even starting with the Bible.
Did you endorse mass shootings?
No, absolutely not.
So why you in Columbine?
Because I happened to have a song in The Matrix that just come out, and they're shooting, and I had a video on TV called Rock is Dead. The kids weren't even fans of me. I think they probably thought that I was too much of a sissy because I was wearing lipstick. I don't really know. I don't know what's going on with them.
Well, you must have got a bad rap from that.
Yeah, it kind of put my whole career on hold. But a lot of people don't know about it because I had to really take an active stance legally against a lot of news places for using Marilyn Manson, which is trademarked, much like Mickey Mouse. It's not right.
Did you sue people?
No, but I had to put a cease and desist order, so now people don't talk about it. So in some ways, I feel mad that, you know, other than Bowling for Columbine, which a lot of people at airports and things like that always say, oh, I didn't know you're so smart, what you said in Bowling for Columbine. And I always want to say, I didn't know you're so stupid, but I don't know you. But, you know, I just said the simplest thing of all.
Which is?
I just said nobody listened to him. If they would just listen to me. Michael Moore asked me what I would say, and I said I would just listen. That's probably
when Columbine happened, though, as soon as it happened, did you know you were going to be somehow involved?
Before they were showing anything, they said a gang of kids wearing Marilyn Manson T-shirts shot up a school or something live on Fox, and I was saying, oh, this is why, you know. So now I think that I've been blamed for about 36 school shootings. But, you know, other than, it's hard for me to have, I can have empathy, I can have sympathy, I can have different feelings about, but and I met one of the survivors from Columbine, the kid that's in the wheelchair that's in the Michael Moore documentary. And other than that, I don't know these people personally, so I don't, you know, I can't feel bad. I don't like to have that fake sympathy that everyone has on TV, and they're crying for people they don't know. I'm not a misanthrope, I'm not a nihilist, I'm not an atheist. I believe in spirituality, but it just really has to come from somewhere else, you know. I grew up Christian, I mean, I was...
But don't you feel sadness for people who just happened to be in a building on 9/11?
Well, I
can't feel empathy for them?
Yeah, of course. Of course. I don't mean that I'm insensitive to it, I just mean I don't know them, so I can't personally, you know, if it was someone that I knew that got hurt, of course, yeah. There's so many bad things that happen in the world. If you felt bad about all of them, it's just like love. If you love everyone, if you know, it's kind of dilutes it. But you can't. I just learned a long time ago. You can't change the world. You can just try to make it something in it. And I think that's my spirituality. That if you know, believing in putting something into the world. If you take all the basic principles of any religion, it's usually about creation. You know, there's also destruction, but creation, essentially, you know. I was raised, I went to a Christian school because my parents wanted me to get a better education, but it ended up just when I got kicked out, I got beat up more by the public school kids. But then I go to like my friend's Passover, and I thought that, I was like, you know what, this is more fun than...
Oh, Passover's fun.
Yeah, it's like a drinking game.
You're a spiritual person, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm a romantic.
Music may be his first love, but Marilyn's exploring a new medium. We're going to show you that and talk about it after this. We're back with Marilyn Manson. You are the new face of St. Laurent. How did that come about?
It must have been the lipstick. My wonderful, charming good looks. I don't know. I met the photographer, the designer for it, when it was Yves Saint Laurent, Hedi Slimane, and he's a big fan of rock and roll, so he's taken a lot of rock and roll portraits over the years, and he just called and they asked me to do it. And,
you get paid for this?
Yes. So I'm a fashion model also. You
use their lipstick? Is Saint Laurent is a lipstick?
No, I don't actually.
You don't use their lipstick?
No, just the clothes.
Just the clothes?
Yeah. Not today, but...
But you wear Saint Laurent?
Yes.
So so obviously you've overcome any bad image to have a major fashion company use you and pay you.
Sure. I mean, I don't think there's the, well, it's almost impossible to make a mathematics of that now in the era when you've got your Lindsay Lohans and your Paris Hiltons, when celebrities started to morph, and you know this obviously more so than me, even being in your job and what you do for talking to every person in culture. There was a point where, when I started out, you know, I was a rock star. I became a rock star, and yes, I became famous. I did a cover of Sweet Dreams, and that, you know, the Eurythmics song, and that was my first sort of breakout thing that people knew me for. Now, people don't even realize that the Eurythmics wrote that, because everything's so ephemeral, and it's forgotten the next day. So I think it's a.
So you don't think endorsing a commercial product is a cop-out?
No, no. You know, but I would have a long time ago. But not out of. I guess it's more of adapting to the culture. It's never now just about the music. The music is a soundtrack to everything. One of my greatest heroes is Dali, Salvador Dali.
I knew him.
You did?
Interviewed him.
That's amazing. He just his whole. He just decided to express himself wherever he wanted to do it, and I like that.
You're also a photographer and a painter. Look at that's really well done.
Thank you. That was one of my more recent ones. But I like to look at life always as almost like you're in a zombie film, where you just have to improvise, end of the world type situation. If you got whatever tools are in front of you, and the day I happened to paint that, I just gotten a tattoo, and I use tattoo ink, which I usually use watercolors. That's an older one.
What are you saying there?
That one's called Absinthe Bunny.
You make absinthe?
Jack and the Absinthe Bunny. I had to remember that.
You make absinthe?
Yeah. Well, I don't make it personally, but I have my own absinthe, because I bought so much of it at the time that they just said make your own. But that one, Jack Osborne, I remember that was one of the first ones that someone bought, and it was very strange to sell something that was a pain, because I never intended to be.
Who is that?
That's Edgar Allan Poe.
Oh, that's Mr. Poe.
Yeah, died in 1849.
Buried in Baltimore.
Twice.
Buried twice, correct. Do you sell these?
Yeah. Yes, which was a very strange experience, because I never intended to. I had only painted them for friends.
That's very good.
Thank you. That's sort of a Da Vinci meets Alice in Wonderland kind of combination. And I wrote a screenplay was intended to make, called Phantasmagoria. It's one of Lewis Carroll's books, and it's about him and his photography and sort of his split personality. And I think it's sort of rubbed off on me too much, but I just resurrected again. Roger Avery is going to direct it.
You're in a movie at Cannes Film Festival, right?
That is, yes. It's called Wrong Cops.
Who do you play?
I play David Dolores Frank, a teenage street hustler. And
you play a teenager?
Yeah, they made me wear braces.
Would you like to start a family? You know, I mean, you've had relationships. Yeah. Edith Von Teese, Rose McGowan. You want to be married?
I feel like marriage is something that Americans, they build up as some idea. I don't really think that. I think love is even a narrow definition when you say you love someone, because, you know, I love being alive. I love, you know, love is not the right words. It should be dedicated, and I think a ring or a piece of paper doesn't really solidify that. But I know there's in a girl's heart and her mind.
Well,
yeah, but I believe in being with one person to the best of your ability.
Would you be a good father? Want to be a father?
I think so. I'm good friends with Johnny Depp, and
he's a good father.
He's a great father. His kid Jack, his daughter's birthday, I remember giving her. I did a painting of him when he first had her. I remember giving her her first pair of high heel shoes, but she was still wearing diapers. And then when I saw her again at age 13, about a year ago, and seen her since then, I said, "You remember?" He goes, "You remember Manson? He gave you high heels." I go, "This is not coming across right." It sounds bad.
When we come back, who was Marilyn or Brian's first kiss? We'll find out after the break, and we'll take some of your questions too. That's next. We're back with Marilyn Manson. He'll be performing with Alice Cooper in the tour Masters of Madness Shock Therapy Tour. Your stage name comes from an iconic beauty and a serial killer.
Technically, he wasn't a serial killer, though.
No, he didn't kill anyone.
No.
He was in the car.
I mean, you could call him a mass murderer. People always say that, but I always find it strange that they say serial killer, because Serial killer is a whole different.
Yeah, that's right. He was a mass murderer. He was a serial killer.
Yeah,
he just had people killed in his name.
Yeah, but serial killer is more.
What would you give me? What name would you give me if I were taking another name?
I would Salvador Dolly Parton.
I love that. Salvador Dolly Parton now. Got it.
Boom.
Do you ever think you'll go back to being just Brian?
I don't really think that I'm not. Just as you mean using it as a form of way. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. When you asked me about having kids and things like that, I don't know what I have my kids call me. If I had more than one kid, I'd call the second one etc. Because it would seem like too many names.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. That's good. Oh, you remember the first person you kissed?
I think so. I believe it was a girl named Rochelle Bass. And she did have a kind of a fish type mouth. And
what school were you in?
Heritage Christian School in Canton, Ohio.
Okay, we have some social media questions. Terrap82 wants to know if the contacts you wear are actually prescription or just for the look.
I technically don't need contacts, and I don't wear them anymore.
Alex D. Ross wants to know if you talk to Billy Corgan anymore. If not, what happened?
I haven't spoken to him, but there was no fallout or anything.
You just don't talk to him?
I think he might have got mad once when I told him that it would be a good marketing idea that if he sold Charlie Brown t-shirts and bald caps at concerts, and he might not like that. Because he did look like Charlie Brown a little bit, in fairness.
Mark Morgenstern asks, what are you doing to remain relevant to younger fans as your older fans get older?
Being on Larry King.
That's the way to do it. Matthew Ockman asks, is Kanye West sampling you in one of his new songs? And if so, how did that come about?
I'm not quite sure if it's a sample or not, but I like the song. I saw it on SNL. I think that was a really ballsy, strong performance. You know, because I had a discussion, a debate with a friend of mine about Jay-Z and Kanye West, who was better, and because I've met both of them. I think they're both really smart and really talented.
They are.
And it was an argument over who was better, and I was leaning towards the Jay-Z thing until I saw that. And it wasn't just because it may or may not have sampled beautiful people, but I thought, wow, he came out so strong on Saturday Night Live. I wish I would have done that.
At House16 wants to know what kind of diet you have.
Wow, that's strange. I mostly eat, I'm not a vegetarian. I mostly like fruit and vegetables. I always usually forget to eat. That's my problem.
Forget to eat.
I forget to eat. But sometimes, you know, being on tour all the time, I think my favorite food of all is a grilled cheese sandwich.
I like that too.
Yeah.
It's grilled cheese sandwich is almost the perfect sandwich.
It is. You dip it in ketchup, it's even better.
Never tried that. Gerard Matas tweets, would you ever do a duet with Madonna?
Oh, I would have loved to, or would love to still. I think that she is very... I actually met her. I had a crush on her when I was younger, but I met her...
She's a great promoter.
I met her, and I think that she's still as sexy as she was in the beginning. Andy
Flory says, scary-looking guy. Is he a teddy bear on the inside?
That is a weird phrase because I use teddy bear hole as a euphemism for a deviant sexual act.
A couple of quick questions. Favorite musician?
David Bowie.
Guilty pleasure?
Being on the show.
Celebrity crush is Madonna. Biggest...
all right, now celebrity crushes, I would say... all right, we'll go with Madonna. I'll let you covered that.
Biggest regret?
My biggest regret is that I didn't get to have a proper farewell, a goodbye to, or you know, like to speak to my mother before she was unable to know who I am now, and that'll always haunt me.
She doesn't know you, huh?
Yes, she has.
Alzheimer's?
No, it's more of a mental illness, and so I never really got to say goodbye, and I regret that because I could have done it, and I was too afraid to face that.
Yeah, I understand. Thanks, Marilyn.
No problem.
Marilyn Manson. You can find him on stage with Alice Cooper in their Masters of Madness tour. And remember, you can find me on Twitter at King's Things. I'll see you next time. This is Salvador Dolly Parton.